are back for another episode of Get a Load of This from the Silver Creek Studios. I'm Jared.
I'm Ryan.
And we are Rebecca-less.
Yeah, we are guest-less, Rebecca-less.
Nobody
we
here.
are two men on a mission.
I kind of like it. It's a little bigger. There's more room. We can just kind of hang and just...
Yeah. Well, it's back to our roots.
Right.
But
old school.
Yeah.
Speaking of... I don't know if this is old school anyway.
I think we need to... yeah, well, Rebecca's great, and she'll be back soon. She just had some transportation issues tonight, I think.
Yeah.
But we also called some of the other Old Faithfuls.
Everybody blew us off.
Everybody was busy. But we want to get some of them back in. Dave thinks that what I said was... I said, what did I say about him? What does Dave know anyway? Something like that.
Yeah.
It's totally a joke.
I believe his last text to me was drunk assholes. And I was like, yeah, that's pretty much sums
it wasn't
it up.
Fuck Ryan. It was, yeah. Well, I mean, no, I was joking whenever I said that today. But I mean, just to have more perspective and
I want to get Rick back on.
Rick would be another good one to have on.
We kind of had
I thought
heavy
Rick would
topic
have been
last
real
time.
good to have on this episode after what we just got done talking about, just to hear his response to that conversation. I'm sure he's got some strong opinions. Anyway,
yeah.
I interrupted your segue.
No, you're fine.
I think into beer. Maybe not.
Well, it's a little bit of both. Yeah. So I brought in this St. Louis Citywide. This is from Four Hands Brewing Company.
Mm-hmm.
Most people around here, people are familiar with the Citywide American Ale. This is their Citywide Pilsner,
which I've had.
Yeah. And
it's good.
If you recall at Stubborn German when we were talking to Chris, he was talking about a Pilsner. And I said something like, oh, yeah, Miller Lite, I think, says a fine Pilsner on their can. And he was like, that's not a Pilsner. Miller Lite's not a Pilsner. And he's right. It's totally just like a lager like all branding, these others.
Yeah.
Pilsner has a very different, in my opinion, taste to it. And this is more like what I think probably a Pilsner is supposed to be.
Right. Okay.
And I prefer it over their normal Citywide. I don't really love their American Ale that much, but this is pretty good.
Both of them. And if I see them at a bar, I mean, maybe 50% of the time I'll be like, yeah, I know it's safe. It's like, yep,
sure.
I have one of those. I know what I'm getting. I know it's nothing crazy.
Tonight I went out and I set out for you. I wanted to get I was like, I'm going to get a good IPA. And Ryan and I are going to just drink some IPA tonight.
Yeah.
And then I saw this and I was like, nope, I'm getting that. But Citywide Pilsner.
I wasn't supposed to drink it, but I was thirsty. Mm-hmm. But, it does have a hoppiness to it. Pilsner's a good, full-flavored beer.
Yeah. I prefer this to the white can, the American Ale. It seems like this is a little less hoppy, maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
Or it's just a different hop.
Yeah.
Hops.
And they don't make a 12-ouncer in this. Everything is 16 ounces in the Citywide, I think. I don't think they make a small can.
I think you can get the 12-ounce, like when I go to Four Hands Brewery, like at their brewery, you can get the shorties.
And it's a can.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
But at the... at like Schnucks is where I got this. They only had these tall 16
pints.
It's good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think of it as that pine hops as much. How would you describe it?
I think it's
a little bit of pine.
I do. I think it's that. I think it's a mild IPA.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's a Pilsner. But that's the flavor, whatever you call it, the flavor template, I guess, palate, whatever. Yeah. It feels like it's definitely, if you blind taste test, I'd say it tastes kind of like an IPA,
Yeah.
It has like a dry, like there's dry wines, where it leaves your palate kind of, I don't know, just dry. I don't know.
Leaves your mouth dry.
Dry mouth kind of.
Is that a good thing for a beer? I don't know.
I don't know. But that's the effect it's having on me now. It's like, it's like, but it's probably good. It makes you want to drink more.
Yeah. What I wanted to bitch you out for is you informed me tonight after our month-long agonizing period of not drinking any alcohol.
Right.
You informed me that you are going to stop drinking beer
maybe for 2 months? I don't know.
Month and a half?
It's an exploratory stage at this point. I may go, Well, tonight I'm obviously having a few beers.
Right.
And
after tonight, I believe you said.
Yeah. I think after tonight, I might go on a little bit of a drinking hiatus.
A bender? Oh, yeah.
I'll probably drink Thanksgiving. But not like crazy. But I'm going to be outside frying a turkey.
Sure.
And,
Cheat day.
Have
it's all good.
Yeah, have a few beers and and enjoy the day.
Yeah.
But outside of that, just I don't know. Drink on the weekends.
This was to try again to kind of
lose some more weight,
curb some
to lose some weight.
Yeah.
Period.
But you said you'd be open to like a gin and Sprite or something,
right? I did that
Sprite Zero
at one point before, like probably about a year and a half ago. I started drinking. Well, I was trying to lose weight then too, which seems like a never-ending battle. And so I was really, yeah, it's all the carbs. Yeah. No, but I really like this gin. It's called Uncle Val's Botanical Gin. There's like 2 or 3 different varieties, but I like the Uncle Val's Botanical Gin, and it's delicious. And you mix it with a little bit of Sprite. I don't like tonic. I need a little bit more sweetness.
Yeah, sure.
So with Sprite Zero, and any of the zero products from Coca-Cola, I don't know what it is. Heroin, something they put in the carbonation.
Yeah.
There's something going on, but they're delicious.
Good. Yep.
And but yeah, it's a tasty drink.
Yeah.
But what I realized when I was drinking, gin and Sprite, basically, that I drink mixed drinks like I drink beer, which I fire them back
like it's going out of style,
and then that equates to a rough night, and also a lot of gin consumed, and it's just bad news, So I had to stop. It was the last time I drank gin was it was a Conor McGregor fight at Joe's house.
Okay.
And I drank a whole bottle of gin.
Damn.
And we did apple pie shots. It was a rough night. And I was like, all right. Next day I was like, I can do that shit again. So I no more gin. Going back to beer. Beer's safe. I know my limits when it comes to beer, and I can just walk that line. So but anyway, it's like the holidays are probably a worst time.
Well, I think our viewers are going to enjoy you trying
drinking?
some gin.
Oh,
some gin.
Maybe, yeah.
Not knowing your limits.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think it's I need to. I act like a child sometimes, right? Where it's like, I act like I'm 23 again, and I'm like, I can drink all the beer in the world,
right.
and no, I'm a grown ass man. I need to, just fucking slow my roll and just casual drinking. I should be able to drink a mixed drink responsibly and have one.
Be able to,
yeah, and have one or two.
We came down here tonight, and I leaned over to grab a beer out of my cooler and put it in the koozie and popped the can, and I looked over, and there was an empty beer can right there, and I was like,
I was thirsty.
Did you just drink that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah,
yeah. I was a little thirsty.
What?
And they were going down smooth. They were nice and cold. The Rockies were blue as hell.
I'm telling you, you've been digging those Coors Light lately.
Yeah, Coors Light is a refreshing beer. There's little to no aftertaste. It's got a good full flavor for a light beer, and it just doesn't make you. And I don't really get much of a hangover with it either. Like with Bud Light, definitely with Miller Lite, I get a wicked hangover. But Bud Light get a little bit sweeter. Like there's more sugar in them or something. I don't know what the fuck it is.
I read an article the other day that
it's corn or rice filler or something like that. Yeah.
That AB InBev, all the domestic beer companies are kind of struggling against the craft beers right now.
About time. Yeah.
But they said Michelob Ultra is 10% of their sales now.
Really?
And is gaining where Bud Light and all the others are kind of losing ground for Anheuser-Busch.
But Bud Light and Budweiser are still the king of beers. They're still the number one
but they're
sellers.
losing ground, and Michelob's going up.
Yeah.
And it's the whole health conscious
like
thing.
Saying Fiat's selling more cars and they're a threat to the F-150.
Right.
They're not.
But, if that continues for a little longer, all it takes is it's enough to.
Well, Fiat's a bad example because it's Chrysler. Anyway. Yeah. But whatever. Let's say another small.
The point is, while a lot of people are going to these heavy craft beers, there's a significant chunk of people that are going to the super light, ultra carb friendly.
Well, I think that more people are, as you get older, you just want to kick, I don't want to think that. I don't want to think that hard. I mean, I love craft beer. I love a great IPA. I like all beers. I like a English brown ale. I really enjoy exploring new shit like that. But sometimes I just want to drink about 8 to 10 of something refreshing.
Sure.
And that's going to be a Coors Light or a Bud Light, period.
Well, like you said, as you're getting older,
keep it simple.
Our bodies are breaking down.
Oh, that too, yeah.
I started this low carb thing just to lose weight, And since I've started that, I've been to the doctor for a normal checkup, and now my blood pressure's high. I'm pretty sure I'm going to find out this week that my cholesterol's high. I'm getting prescribed shit that I don't want to be on, and it just sucks. I'm used to living and eating whatever I want, and your body adjusts, and now it does not adjust anymore.
No, it gets tired of adjusting.
Yeah.
I was talking to a guy I used to work with, and we were talking about someone that he used. Now we work at different companies. So someone he used to work with is now going to be working with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I gave him a call. I'm like, hey, do you know this guy? What do you know about him? Tell me about him. So he told me, I'm like, so he's an older guy? And he's like, well, no, he's like, 50s. I'm like, so he's older. He's like, it's like, dude, that's not that much older than us.
Right.
He's like, we're fucking old. And I'm like, that don't remind me of that. I don't think about myself as that. I mean, 44 it's not old. I think 40 is the new 30, right? Isn't that what they say? Something like that.
That's what they say. I think that's just what 40-year-olds say.
Yeah, maybe.
There aren't any 20 or 30-year-olds saying that.
Maybe not. I don't know. But I think I also I fully subscribe to you're only as old as you think you are, or you feel as you.
Yeah, but I feel old.
Yeah, some days I do. In the morning I feel old. My knees hurt and stuff like that. But you know what? When I get my juices in the middle of the day or whatever, I feel pretty good. You know, I don't feel 44.
I feel physically, I definitely feel like my body's getting older. It's the mental thing, and I don't know if that ever really changes, where I don't feel necessarily like an adult or an old adult with kids that are out of high school and shit. Like, I don't feel like that person. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, you still wake up in the morning, and every once in a while you're like, what the fuck happened?
Right.
I'm responsible. All this could all crumbling down around us if I decide to sleep in too many days.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
I don't know. Here's a controversial thing for you. You'll love this. I got a flu shot today.
Oh, wow.
You hate flu shots.
You don't have any like retardation coming on or anything?
No. As far as I know, I have the third nipple hasn't developed.
Already there.
Yeah. The fourth nipple, fine. No, it's
flu shot, huh? So you succumbed to the peer pressure.
I got one 2 years ago. Didn't have any problems. The doctor made a very convincing case as to why I should. There's no risk. It's anything. There's not.
No risk, huh?
No.
I don't believe that, but okay.
You should do some more research then.
How many people do you have to hear say, yeah, I had a shot, and a week later I had the flu, or 2 weeks later?
Unrelated.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just complete coincidence.
They were going to get sick either way. Yeah. Because what's being injected what was injected into me today is not the flu. It's a strain of the bacteria. So
it's a convenient coincidence.
What you need to look at is how many people had the same shot injected into their arm and didn't get the flu. I bet you that number is dramatically larger than that little small sample that did get sick.
Maybe.
Coincidentally, in my opinion, 3 days after getting their flu shot. So, and that's the whole argument for them. I was with you. I was with you 100%. And I'm like, nope, not doing that. The government's after me. I'm not putting that shit in my body. And I went to the doctor, and he's like, you're being ridiculous. There's no risk at all. This is completely safe.
And I'm only kind of half serious when I protest that. But I will say that fucking pharmacist or doctor or whatever makes a living off prescribing shit to people. And he has absolutely invested in you taking shit. And for him to be like, you don't really need this. But in fact, a lot of people get the flu when they get the shot. You'd be like, fuck off, I'm out of here.
I've never heard anybody say that they get the flu when they get the shot. I never heard a doctor say that.
Of course you haven't.
Yeah, but I don't think it's true.
They wouldn't tell you that.
There's also a thing called the Hippocratic Oath.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, they're not supposed to take advantage of you.
Yeah.
And I think if you have a doctor where you think that they might be, you need to find a new doctor. I trust my doctor. There's been doctors I've had in the past, like, of course family practitioners.
I'd like to think we all trust our doctors. If you didn't trust them, you'd go somewhere else. But I mean, how many examples do you have to see of a doctor doing something nefarious?
Well, one for me to leave my doctor.
Well, sure,
if it was my doctor,
right?
But I haven't. I trust the guy. I think, and he's honest with me. And I think that if you go to a doctor and he's saying things like, I don't know. I mean,
I'm just saying, when there's a financial reason for him to encourage you to get more treatment, of course he's going to tell you to do it.
But what's he going to make off of giving me a flu shot?
whatever. You come in and pay your copay, and your insurance company pays for the fucking thing.
Yeah, I think
of course he's getting paid. I think
you're thinking too hard about that.
How do you think these guys get paid? It's not off brain surgery.
They
get paid
drum up business. Like they're not ambulance chasers like lawyers.
They do. No, they have to have daily visits. That's where they're making their money.
And they get plenty of them. They get plenty of them organically. You know, I went today not for a normal annual checkup. I went because I've been having headaches.
Okay, right.
And it turned into like, well, while I'm here, I may as well do this, and while I'm, you know, may as well knock out a few of these things while I'm here. So those kinds of things, those well visits, or just like I feel like I got the flu, or I need a Z-Pack or whatever. Yeah. Those things are going to happen. They don't need to drum up business. People are going to get sick.
Yeah.
They don't need to inject shit into you to make you sick. And honestly, if that were the case and there was this rampant problem, then more people would not be getting the flu shot. And we would honestly then have a problem.
Or everybody be running to get their shots because the flu outbreak. I don't know.
If you firmly believe that, I know you're saying it in jest to a bit.
Only kind of.
But so if you really believe that, that's dangerous. Because people should get the flu shot.
What's dangerous is when people blindly believe something that isn't true.
No, because you're putting.
I'm not saying it for sure isn't.
Read more about the science behind it, because you're actually putting children and elderly in danger if you don't have the flu shot.
I'm just saying I know people personally, and I've heard people like on the radio talk about it or whatever, that didn't have the flu for years, went and got a flu shot, and 2 weeks later they had the flu.
Yeah,
like that's not just a coincidence. I mean, it could be possible.
Post hoc ergo propter hoc.
Yeah,
that's a Latin phrase that means just because one thing happened after the first thing doesn't mean the first thing caused the second thing. I'm just not naive
enough to go, it's probably.
Do you understand what I said there, though?
Yes.
That's a thing that's been around for thousands of years. That it's a fallacy that just because something happened,
but it's
after
also
the
naive to think that. Well, of course, that's not what caused it.
I think it's naive to think that just because this thing happened before that thing, this thing must have caused that thing.
If I had no issues with my tires on my car, and they've never blown out, and I've always gotten Michelin Pilot Sport Pros, and the next time I got tires, I went with BF Goodrich blah blah blahs, and my tire blew out the next week, I would be like, well, I'm never getting those fucking tires again. And you'd be like, well, come on. It's just coincidence. It's not because you switched tire brands. I know you've never had an accident in your Michelins.
Right.
And just because you just switched to BF Goodrich and you had a blowout.
That's not exactly the same.
It's pretty much the same
thing.
I
mean, it's like could be a shitty brand of tire. Michelin may be a shit tire. We're talking about, it's different things.
I'm just saying, if you see that something that has never happened to you suddenly happens after you made a change, you have to at least consider that change was the cause of it.
So if you go to so you drink Wide Pilsner tonight, and tomorrow morning
you wake up with a wicked hangover.
Well, tomorrow morning you wake up and you piss blood. What are you gonna say? Must have been the Wide Pilsner.
That happens every Wednesday. Trust me.
It couldn't have possibly been the life of things that you may have done wrong to your body that have caused that.
But
just because you had one thing before something else happened doesn't mean that that's the cause of the thing.
I'm going to say that's a bad example because you're saying
better than fucking tires.
But nothing ever. No, I'm talking about like since when does beer make you piss blood?
I don't know. Enough.
Tires blow out. But ingesting a thing into your body that's related to the flu, and then you get the flu.
Let's go back to your tire analogy.
Yeah.
So did you hit a curb?
No, just driving down the same stretch of highway.
Did you drive through a construction zone? Was there maybe a tire on the ground or a nail on the ground that got stuck in your tire?
Could have been. I mean, I will acknowledge that's a possibility.
There's a lot of factors at play here.
But the main thing that changed.
You can't just make that leap of faith to say, well, because of this, then that.
Of course, you can't assume or you can't assure that. But if the one thing that changed in your daily routine was you got a new brand of tires and then you had a blowout, you'd be like, well, fuck.
Those tires
never had a blowout with my old brand.
But you shouldn't think that. You should think like, well, what else?
Because
maybe you drove through a construction zone.
Obviously, you need to consider other things.
Maybe you ran over something.
But if the rest of your daily routine didn't change, if you didn't suddenly drive through a construction zone,
but that would be
you probably didn't get.
That would be an oversimplistic view that might.
I'm just saying you should at least consider it, right? As opposed to people going, no.
But you run a very severe risk of coming to a false conclusion if you do that.
You're a fucking asshole for even thinking that BF Goodrich might have been the reason you had a tire blowout.
I think that's a reasonable leap to make, but you should also think like, well, okay, BF Goodrich or who's a Michelin or whatever. These tires, they come from a reputable brand. They've been around for 100 years.
Maybe they're made in China now.
Maybe.
Who knows where these...
But everything else is fine. The reviews on Amazon were great. Everybody else says they're wonderful. The mechanic said they're good tires. He's got them on his truck, and he's driven them for 80,000 miles. He's got more life out of those than any tire he's ever put on his truck. But yet you had a blowout.
You never click on the 1-star reviews. There's a lot of 1-star reviews out there.
So let's get back to the flu shot.
A lot of people saying...
Again, I double down on the point that you're hearing, or you're hearing what you want to hear, confirmation bias, if you will, that the people that do get the flu, they say, "Oh no, it happened to me too," and so and they bubble up. But what you don't hear about is the millions, literally millions of people who get the flu shot every year and have no problem and don't get sick all winter long. They never get the flu.
I mean, I will definitely concede that.
So
there are plenty of people that get the flu shot and don't get the flu.
Yeah, for those of you out there listening, you've learned some Latin tonight, if you didn't already know it. Post hoc ergo propter hoc. Look it up. It's real. It's a real Latin phrase.
Did anybody really dispute if it was not real? Though?
Yeah, but Latin Latin scholars out there.
I believe you.
Google. That's good stuff. But I only know that and I know ceteris paribus, which is a economic term, which is what does it mean? All things being equal. And then
E pluribus unum.
Well, there's another one I didn't even think about. Yeah, didn't even think about that one. Carpe diem. There's another one.
Yeah.
And what's the other one I know? Tabula rasa. Clean slate.
Okay.
So I always like that one, tabula rasa. Yeah. That one I always think about on New Year's Eve. Tabula rasa.
What's the deal with Latin?
It's a dead language.
Right, but what is there more to it than that?
Kind of fun.
Was it a language that...
It's where most languages derive from, I think, right? Like if you look at like the English language or the Romance languages and you take the words that exist in those languages and you look at their lineage, right? Where they were derived from. What the fuck is she doing?
I don't know. Jesus. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Then you look at
Feel free to continue.
Where those words came from. Most of them were derived from the Latin words.
And was it
So what we're laughing at is that Kristen's down here. You haven't seen her on the webcam. You probably didn't hear her at all. But she just, I don't know what she did. Almost like she fell over the back of the couch. We got a couch in the studio now, people.
We do have a couch.
Yeah, it's very nice.
She crawled over it and instead of going around. She was trying to avoid the camera.
And she's gone now. She's in, she's out.
It was entertaining.
Poof.
So did Latin come from, is that like, we're talking Greek, Roman era region?
Rome, I believe. Like Italy.
Okay.
Latin. Well, no, Latin would be like, I don't fucking know, man. That's a good question. I don't know.
I picture it as like, Aristotle and that kind of
stuff. The Romans were speaking Latin? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a damn fine question.
And then why is it dead? It just...
Because it's complicated.
No longer being used. But why is it any more complicated than
Chinese
Spanish
or Japanese or something like that? Yeah, Japanese,
Mongolian or whatever.
I don't know. I have to ask TJ about it, but like he's taking Japanese. Like they don't even use the same alphabet, right? They like to write a sentence like I'm going to the grocery store. You have to draw a picture of a doghouse with a cat sitting on top of it and a bowl of food out in front, and that means I'm going to the grocery store.
Not to get too like racist or anything here, but
well, no, I mean, how's that racist?
They draw dog bowls to go to the store.
It looks like a lot of the hieroglyphs that I see of, hey, you went there, not me. A lot of the, it's like, it looks like a little house.
It is. I specifically, the Japanese language is a very interesting written language, right?
Yeah,
it's very,
doesn't make any sense to me, but it makes sense to them.
It makes sense to them.
And it's mind blowing. I wish I knew more about it.
Yeah,
it's one of those things also that I'm afraid that like someone said, well, you should learn more about that. It's like I don't think my brain is capable. I think my brain is. Like they say that, the kids' brains until they're like 25, their brains are just mush. They're not fully formed, but that's whenever they can learn. They can just soak up like a sponge. They soak up all this information. Yeah. I think that our brains get hardened over the years as you get older. Like
so I want to ask you that.
It just becomes, you can't fit any more in. It's done.
Yeah. Do you think, like I do, that I feel like I'm a little bit dumber now than I used to be? My brain doesn't work as well as it used to. I was I was a smart person. Good grades. People think I'm an intellect.
I think it's funny that you refer to in the past tense. You're still a smart person.
I used to be smart.
Yeah.
Right. So people thought of me as, people still do think of me as that. And I guess I think of myself as a smart person, but
you just don't feel as sharp as you used to be.
I feel I'm not as sharp. So it takes me a little bit longer to like block everything out and just be like, okay, what?
Well, that's the ability to focus. But I think which maybe that is,
or am I aware that I wasn't as smart as I thought I was before? Everybody, when you're young and arrogant, you think you know it all.
You think
right?
you're smart and you don't realize. Yeah, maybe.
That was my question. Is it this or is it that?
I noticed that. So, in just my jobs through my career or whatever, like I've had jobs where there just wasn't enough work to do, and you find yourself killing time a lot, and so you're not exercising your brain, and you get it's a muscle and it atrophies, and so all of a sudden your brain, then you get a new job or the workload increases, and all of a sudden now you got to ramp back up again. It takes a while because your brain is atrophied, and it's like, oh shit, I gotta, But then I've noticed that when that happens, or if I find a new job or the workload increases, that after a while of working at that new level, at that new high, that I feel like I'm sharper across the board. That everything, and at home, I'm just more focused on everything. I remember things better. I don't forget to stop and get milk. Little shit like that in your life where the things that you used to just you dur out on or whatever.
Have you taken note of what kinds of things sharpen you? Like, what would it take?
Working harder sharpens my brain. If I have a job like,
but for you in your job, what is working harder? Like
just being
paying
more
attention to something,
being more focused and not forgetting. And
right.
Like I know whenever. Like I forget to respond to an email, and someone's like, "Hey, did you ever get an answer on this? Can you get back to me on this?" I'm still waiting. When I'm locked in, those don't happen as often.
Right.
When I'm slipping, or whenever I'm just not focused or not dialed in, then those happen more often. So, but I noticed that when my company was bought, and there was a period of time where they pretty much said, "Stop everything. Stop what you're doing. You're not fired, but fucking stop."
Yeah.
So we all stopped, and we went into the office every day, and we're like, well, what the fuck are we gonna do? And we just bullshit and kill a day, and until they said, all right, now start working again.
Are you guys hiring? Oh wait. So
well, no, I mean, but that's just the life of working for a company that goes through a merger, or goes through an acquisition, that you get to a point where projects have to, like, you're not going to go in that direction anymore. Now we got to go in this direction. So everybody was going in that direction. You got to stop it, redirect. And so there's a window there where you're not doing any work. And that window can dull all of your skills. And so once I was done with that phase, and it's like, okay, now we're working again. We're all going in this direction.
Yeah.
And it's like, fuck, well, I gotta sharpen this knife a little bit better, because it got real dull.
So I feel like part of it is that, and I have to wonder if part of it is you stop caring as much, and when you don't care about something, you don't pay attention as much,
right?
And so things that, and I kind of think it's maybe in a younger age when you're maybe a little more naive or maybe a little more ambitious or whatever, you care a little more, and so you're paying more attention. And then later you realize, you know what? I'm thinking more about my son's baseball game this afternoon, or I'm thinking more about that movie that my wife and I are going to go watch tonight, or I'm thinking more about the podcast episode and the Citywide that I'm going to go buy, right? And so you're like, this doesn't matter. I'll get this done today, or I won't, or I'll get it done tomorrow.
Right.
And you stop focusing on it and paying attention. And I've had people ask me about something that they have complete photo memory of from 6 months ago. Remember that issue we had an email about? And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. And it'll be something that I've solved. I fixed a problem for this person.
See, I don't have that.
And then they're like, yeah, remember that thing you did? And I'm like, no, what?
See, I feel like I'm the guy, and this is not, I don't mean to sound braggadocious, but I'm the guy that says, like, yeah, dude.
Yeah.
How do you not remember that?
That used to be me. That's not me anymore.
So,
I'm the guy
there's
that's
been times where I've been like, I don't remember that. But for the most part, I'm the person that says, like, yeah, dude, here. And I keep everything too. I keep all my emails forever. I think a lot of people do that nowadays, but keep all these emails so that I can cover my ass.
Yeah.
But to be like, yeah, man, look, here it is. You answered it. And it also makes you feel good. Because like, yeah, I remembered that. Yay,
so
me.
What really makes me nervous is So my grandpa, when I was growing up, he was a professor, a literature professor at SLU. Very intellectual, very smart. My whole family on that side was very smart, and but he had this reputation of just being aloof and just goofy and clueless, right? It was funny. And my dad kind of got to be that way too eventually. My dad's very intellectual, very smart. And it was just like, oh man, he's turning into my grandpa, And I was never that way.
Did they have dementia or anything like that?
No, nothing like that.
Just got goofy.
Just kind of absent-minded and just kind of, right. Yeah. I mean, not necessarily didn't give a fuck, but just forget things and just not be aware of the situation and, just kind of aloof. And God damn, I hope that's not happening. I think it's probably coming.
Well,
I can feel it.
I think that's not bad. It's good.
Well, yeah.
It's good to... I think it's healthy to not take things too seriously.
And I will agree. That's where I actually like that I don't, especially my job, I don't take my job too serious.
Right.
I mean, I care about my job. I want to do a good job. But there's people that's their whole life. Right. They go home and
that's
think about
unhealthy.
Sleep and dreaming about their job. And you can't do that. So I'm glad that I'm not that way. But
so maybe they have the
I can feel it coming.
They, your grandfather had the right idea, and your dad still around, and maybe is he still goofy?
Yeah.
He's got the right idea.
Maybe.
Fuck it,
He has had 2 heart attacks and a stroke, so it didn't really pay off physically.
Well, but just living life like that, we're like, fuck it.
It is a less stressful life to not go home and worry about your job.
Yeah, I mean, I've said that for years about one of my old jobs outside of the building that I was in. They were doing some construction across the way, and it was a beautiful day in the spring.
Yeah,
it was 20 years ago, and I'm looking out the window at these guys driving a tractor or a backhoe or something like that, and the cab's open. They have the kind that close up or whatever, but in this case, the cab was open.
Yeah,
beautiful day, beautiful weather, and these guys out there just moving dirt. That's it. Just got to take that dirt, take it out of that hole, put it over there. That's it.
Yep.
And he showed up at fucking 7 a.m., started moving dirt. And at 4 o'clock or whatever, 4:30, he's going to be done moving dirt. And he's going home. And not have to worry about that dirt for the rest of the fucking day until he goes back at 7 o'clock in the morning, move some more dirt. My job, and your job, I think, to some degree, is we come, not that you bring it home with you, but it's up here. It's like, and you're like, fuck, did I send that email?
Right.
Fuck, I never got back to that guy. Motherfucker. And you're like, and it just weighs on you. Like,
or that problem you didn't solve today and you figure out at 11 o'clock at night, that's how I can do it.
Or, you think about like tomorrow, all the things that I have to accomplish tomorrow. Like I got 4 fucking meetings about this one thing. That kind of shit just, it weighs on you, right?
Yep.
That it would be great. And I mentioned it to my teammates at the time. I was like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
I want to move dirt. And my boss at the time, he's like, you want to do that today, but you don't want to do that in January.
Right, exactly.
You don't want to do that whenever it's 4 degrees
all
outside.
Those guys that are out putting
asphalt on the highway and that,
in the middle of the summer, or they are digging up shit in the middle of January.
Right.
They wish they had your job.
Right. No, and that's true. And so, but it's a give and take. But you know what? I mean, some of these guys these laborers, they make great money. And they leave it all out there on the highway or in the hole, whatever they happen to be doing. Yeah. And there's something to be said for that, So I think it's potentially a healthier life.
Yeah.
As long as you're taking care of yourself. Otherwise, if everything else, ceteris paribus, all other things being equal, there's me and there's the guy that drives the backhoe.
Yeah.
It's arguably a healthier life because he doesn't have the stress that he's taking all this shit home with him. It's not a bad way to go.
We talked a little bit before we even came down here tonight about one of our listeners kind of called us out a little bit.
We're not going to go there.
No, we're not going to go too far down that, but I do want to talk about this a little.
I triggered that thought with the mental anguish of thinking about what do we have to do tomorrow.
Stressing about your job.
Right.
Yeah. And this person mentioned that on our gender role episode where we were talking about who's in charge of what in the household and the jobs and all that
Which
stuff.
Apparently we fucked that up.
Yeah. we referenced an article, and we kind of didn't really get into the meat of it.
We didn't do our homework. I didn't.
One of us didn't read the article.
Yeah, I explained that on the episode that I didn't fully read it.
But she kind of said that her point was more the mental stress rather than the physical stress of certain tasks. And she mentioned a bunch of things that a lot of people have to deal with. So especially if you got two, workers in the family, right? So if the husband and wife are both going to work and you've got kids at home, and you come home and you got all this stuff to deal with, right? You've got scheduling of, doctors of visits and school stuff.
Scheduling.
You could, and that was one of the things you kind of said was, hey, all of that could be wrapped up into one thing called scheduling.
It's, and furthermore, we all do it. I showed you at the time. I showed you my calendar on my phone, and it's got a lot of colors on it. It's it's like a bag of Skittles. My family's calendar.
Yeah,
and my boys are older. I mean, and I don't have the oldest stuff's not on there because I don't care. He's in New Orleans. He's responsible. I shouldn't have to monitor that stuff. I think the wife does have his calendar added to her, so she wants to monitor it. She can, but everything that the Big O does and everything that Chuck does, it's on the calendar. And if there's something that comes up and he's like, oh, I got to go do this. And it's like, not on the calendar.
Yeah.
So they add their things to the calendar. We add things for them as well. But we also, add all the things that apply to our life. If it's a doctor appointment, if I have to take 2 days off because I have to go do this, or if I'm going to be out of town for whatever, everything goes into that, goes into the calendar. If it's, paying a bill that needs to be paid or whatever. Actually, we don't even do that. But yeah, everything goes in the calendar. Most of it is appointments and just reminders to like, oh yeah, we got to take care of that. But I think everybody does that. You do that. Your wife has a calendar in some form or fashion somewhere.
We're probably a little archaic. My wife still uses a dry erase calendar, and she literally is writing stuff. Now we definitely use our Android calendars as well, but not nearly to the degree that many other people do.
No, it's our Bible. I mean, we use it
it's
religiously.
Just not for us.
And it's gotten better. Over the years, we've gotten better at using it.
Yeah.
And my wife tends to make it a little more complicated than it needs to be. She's got a lot of folders, a lot of categories and stuff like that. And it's like, look, there needs to be a color for every human. And if it applies to that human, it's that color, And then maybe there's a color for, financial issues or something like that. Or for, I don't know, medical stuff.
Now, a lot of the stuff that she mentioned was scheduling, calendar type of things.
Seemed like the whole list was mostly scheduling.
A lot of it was, but some of it was, planning out what clothes your kids are going to wear. What time of year is it? You got winter clothes and fall clothes and all that. And kind of this cyclical changeover, like we got to get out the winter clothes from storage and put the other summer stuff away, that kind of thing. You've got certain tasks like cleaning out the gutters or whatever, right? Some physical tasks, but a lot of it was just mental, thinking about this, thinking about that, when that's the last thing you want to do is come home from a hard day's work and think about anything. You just want to veg out and not think, right? But you can't. You've got to deal. And usually almost every task that was mentioned related to kids, right?
Yeah. On her list. Yeah. I mean,
on her list. And I will say, and you kind of, we had different reactions to that. You kind of said, well, hey, kids are the best thing about your life. And
they're the best thing about they're the best thing I made. They're the best, my best, my best accomplishment is
and
my kids.
I said, and I've said that to these people who brought this up to us. And I said, it's kind of a running joke with me that I tell everybody who doesn't already have kids, and
don't have kids.
Some people who do have kids don't have kids. The answer to all of this is don't have kids. As much as I love my kids, they are the best thing about our family. It's
Well, they cause a lot of stress.
Yeah. It's your focus of your entire life becomes on your kids.
But you should know what you're getting into.
But I don't think everybody knows.
No, and that's the problem.
They think it's an expectation.
I'm going to get us
this
off
is what
of
you should do.
Urbana talk, because I don't want to. I don't want to minimize
directing this at them and their kids.
Well, I don't want to minimize how she feels about the stresses of her life, because that's her and I get it. I don't disagree with what she's saying.
Yeah.
Those are real things. Those are real tasks that stress her out and potentially her husband.
Yeah.
But everybody has them to some degree or another, right? And a lot of it is it goes back to you can be aloof about it, like your dad. You're like, fuck it. Kids are going to make their lunch or they're not going to make their lunch. They're either going to eat or they're not going to eat. Fuck it, So
I don't think it was fuck it. It was more like, oh, they need lunch? Oh,
okay,
right.
So, but that you could take that. That's an extreme approach.
Yeah.
Or you can plan to the gills and be like, well, no, this day they're going to have peanut butter, and the next day they can't have peanut butter because now they got to kill with the peanut allergy. So I have to account for this. And you're just overthinking things a little bit. Just my opinion. Please don't take offense. But maybe
we love you, Urbana.
Yeah, but maybe I think that you might be overcomplicating it. I'm probably wrong. She's gonna fucking blow us up.
Oh yeah, man.
But I think you might be overthinking it. It's not. And maybe I'm just a dumb male who doesn't appreciate the things that women think about. I know that my wife, she gets in the car every time we go somewhere, and she's like, "Am I the only one that can shut a door? And am I the only one that can lock the house up and can make sure that the dogs are put away and that da 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 da?" And I'm like, no, I don't care.
Yeah, right.
If it happens that I forget to lock one of the doors, whoops, I live in one of the safest cities in the state of Illinois. It's going to be okay. If I lived in Watts or, a bad neighborhood, I'd probably be a little bit more concerned about locking the door whenever I left. But I don't really care. So if you want to stress out about that, that's on my wife. That's on you. So she's also got some OCD stuff about checking the stove and checking the faucets and stuff like that before we leave. She always has to touch the faucet to make sure it's off and then puts her hand underneath. It's like, you can fucking see there's no water coming out of it.
Yeah,
why you got to put your hand under it?
That's weird.
That's OCD. I mean, it's bona fide. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Not by a doctor. But
I'm intrigued by that, by the way. But okay,
yeah, she's a little bit crazy, but I love her. But so but she's putting, that's her own thing.
Sure,
that stress is
as long as she's aware that that's just her and nobody else is worried about the faucet.
Right. Well, right. So getting back to Urbana, I mean, so this long list of things that you itemized out about things that you worry about. I mean, they could easily be stated as a couple. 2 or 3 things, but you just decided to itemize them one by one. If you were to lump them together and say, well, I got to be concerned about the schedule. Well, that knocks off about 20 things I'm exaggerating,
right?
A bunch of things on the list. I got to worry about whether or not the kids got their shit. That knocks off another half a dozen things, And so it's not to diminish what you do.
Because it is a lot to keep track of.
Sure. But furthermore, in every relationship, in every effective, well-functioning family, someone does it. Someone does it. And if there's an imbalance in your relationship where you feel like you're doing more, then that's between you and your husband to work out, and hopefully you do.
And I don't think that was what was being expressed. I don't think she was implying that her husband isn't sharing the load. And I know that I know him, and I'm fairly certain he's absolutely sharing the load. So I think it was just the fact that we didn't really acknowledge the mental side of things. We were talking a lot about the physical. It was who goes to work, who does the,
and I do diminish the mental side
in the
of
gutter, who mows the lawn, who does the dishes. Those are all physical tasks.
Right.
It's the mental side that is actually probably more draining or as draining.
For some, I think it depends on the person. I think that
it depends on how you handle it.
I think about, so my wife, she gives me crap about my mind is overactive, but it's not in a good way. It's not in a productive way. I'm thinking about random weird shit and she's like, what the fuck brought that up? And I'm like, I don't know, it just popped into my head, So, but I think about those things. I think about work items like, oh fuck, I get and it just, and things are fleeting and it's like a squirrel, it's like whatever happens to pop into my purview or in and out of my brain at that moment, I think about it. And and sometimes I stress about them, and sometimes I'm like, all right, no, I got to make a note about that and I'll take care of it. But I don't think about like all these things like as mentally draining or stressing me. I think it's just like that's how my brain works.
I think it's a personality thing. It's how does your brain work? Some people love that challenge and organization of scheduling this and did we get this and this taken care of? Like that doesn't stress them out at all. They love it. Other people, it's like that's the worst part of my day is having to decide. Do we have this? Did I schedule this? They hate it. And so it's not that oh, this is what sucks about being a parent or adulthood or whatever. It's like, it's what sucks to you about it, but somebody else might love it. Somebody else hates your job and you love your job, right? So, I mean, it's...
Yeah,
everybody's different.
The stress of life, right? Everybody has their own stress. Some people, like, I mean, you can go into some neighborhoods. Like my wife's got family members that are kind of this way that are they don't give a fuck. They don't even have a job. They've got problems. They got an apartment somehow.
Right.
They don't go to work. They just don't give a fuck. Right. They had kids. These people had children, and somehow they mattered to become adults. Managed to become adults, and so that's an approach, right?
Yep.
That's an extreme approach. They may not have known what they were getting into whenever they decided to make a baby. But everybody should, and that's part of just being a responsible human being. And so, furthermore, we got to look at through the ages, how people raise kids and what the I'm rambling now, but what the end product ended up being, right? So you can over prepare your kid and you can overthink everything that they do, whether it's, is that a fall outfit or is that a winter outfit, that kind of shit.
Yeah.
My wife changes out the closets every change of season. It fucking drives me nuts. It'll happen organically. Anyway, I'm rambling. I'm all over the fucking place. This is the overactive mind problem, right? Where you just go all over the place. But you can, and that could be to the detriment. If you over coddle or over prepare for your kid and you over plan every little element of their life, that could be a detrimental thing for that kid, that they don't know how to deal with any adversity because you've pre-planned and pre-prepared every element of their life. I'm obviously exaggerating, and I don't mean to be offensive and to
I will
anybody.
say, as much as it sounds like we're being critical of this person and their scenario, I know them, and their kids are amazing, so well behaved, so responsible.
How old are the kids, by the way?
I'm going to be an asshole here and not know, but I'm going to say 8, 6, and 4, something
Those
like
are
that.
High maintenance fucking years.
Sure, they definitely are.
Yeah, those
but
are big years.
They are super responsible, well behaved. The whole household is in order. The career, the life, everything. Like, these people have it figured out.
Right.
So when she sounds like to us like maybe she's complaining, they've got it. They've got it going on. They got it figured out.
They got
it
dialed in pretty good.
Yeah. It's not like other scenarios where
right.
Their shit is in disarray.
Yeah. So I mean, it's all about what kind of human you want to make, right? I think that my wife and I did a pretty good job. I mean, we still got 2 more to get out of the house.
Yeah.
But we got a sophomore in college, and he's doing pretty well for himself. And I think we did a pretty good job. And we didn't, and he's the firstborn. We didn't have a fucking clue what we were doing. Everything was by the seat of our pants. Like, I hope we don't fuck them up. I hope we don't break them. You know. And whenever they finally hit that point where they're out the door, you're like, well, it seems like he's okay. I don't think we fucked him up too bad.
Right.
And that's all you can really do is hope for the best, because there is, I mean, even though there is a playbook, whatever it's Dr. Spock or whatever the book about child rearing is, there is no playbook for this. We're all playing by the seat of our pants. And so my point is that we weren't over prepared. I don't think we overthought it. There were times where we had no fucking clue and we were scared to death about how we handle this situation. And you know what?
Yeah.
You kind of hope for the best. We're at different stages. If she's got 8, 6, and 4, if those are even close to their ages, who knows with your, and maybe they're 14, who knows? But mine are 19, 16, and 13. That's a different phase. Yours kids are 19 and 16. There's a different phases. Whenever our kids were that little, we were probably different. We are forgetting.
We were talking upstairs with my wife about, and she said their kids are at an age that is the most stressful age as a parent.
Yeah, it really is, probably.
And it really is. And we were kind of remembering back, like, when our kids were that age, holy shit. We were fighting about stuff and arguing, and we were stressed. Now, fuck, we might as well be like retirees. Our kid, one of them's out of the house, and one of them is damn
here.
close. Yeah. I'm like, we might as well not have kids. Right. It's so, like, stress-free.
Well,
our life is so different than it used to be.
We weren't even talking about this, but I asked her about her house and what she has to do when she gets home. She's like, I gotta get home and make dinner. I'm like, it's just her and Brian.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, how hard is this?
Do you though?
Yeah. How hard,
yeah. Right.
And so I asked her, I'm like, so is do you find your house to be cleaner now that there's no children there? And she's like, yeah. She goes, I got dog toys, a lot of dog toys, but other than that, yeah, it's pretty tidy. And I'm like, I can't fucking wait.
Oh yeah.
I can't wait. And also because my wife blames everything pretty much on the children about all the messes, and I'm like, oh, that's you. That's you. That's me. A lot of, I mean, they do make their share of messes. Usually it's like clothing related. We find socks in random places. And
I will say most of the clutter in our house, if it's not related to my wife's crafts or projects, things, whether it's photography or whatever else, it's my daughter. I mean, she's a total slob and just like leaves shit everywhere around the house. There's shoes in every room and clothes draped somewhere.
My wife has that problem too. The shoes are everywhere. She just kicks them off wherever the hell she is, and you just, and then she yells at me. She's like, "You do the same thing." I mean, she's right. I do. Mine are usually like at least kind of tucked next to a piece of furniture or something like that. You'll just find hers in the middle of the fucking floor.
I feel like I'm pretty good about not having my shit strewn about the house. But now, so today I did have a coworker of mine. We were talking about various things, and somehow the topic of
we changed the subject.
No, kind of, it's related to what you said.
Okay.
We were talking about my son and his girlfriend, and she had a soccer game this weekend, and whatever, blah 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 blah. And he said something to the effect of, "Yeah, your son, he's in college, right?" And I said, "Well, he's in his college years." And he's like, right. But he should be in college. And I was like,
oh, wow, that's kind of douchey.
And he didn't mean it that way. He just meant at that age, that's what most people are doing. So he should be in college. And I was like, well, he's working. He's, you know, so, but it just came out. I'm sure it came out wrong on his end. And I probably took it a little wrong. Yeah. But it was like.
Understandably, though, I think that.
Yeah.
But
that being said, I was going to say.
Part of the problem.
Well, and I was just going to say, like, my son is one of the most responsible people I know. Anybody that knows him, he's one of the nicest people in the world.
Agreed.
He is
known that since he was like 5. He was like the sweetest boy in the world.
And now I totally struggled.
Way better than my kids.
I struggled with. I've still got Fruit Loops in my yard from when one of his sons came over.
It wasn't hit, Chuck. It was great. It was grand.
But he was there. Mm-hmm. I struggled a long time with, and my son listens to the podcast, so I'm sure he's listening, but I struggled with him and his future. It was because at one point he made it clear he didn't want to go to college. And I was just like kind of disappointed. Like, you are fucking yourself over if you don't take this next step and prepare for the rest of your life with college, you know? And it was just like, it took me a while to realize, yeah, that's not necessarily true. It might be for a lot of people true, but for a lot of people, it's just not. That is not the direction they need to go in.
Have you ever played the board game Life? Right?
Yeah, right.
I mean, that board game is real. Right? I mean, it's some real shit going on there. Another one?
Yep.
Oh boy.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I mean, I've been into board games lately. We bought. Well, before we get into that, I don't want to get off the topic of what we were talking about. Yeah, your boy's good, and he's doing fine.
And I'm not trying to brag. I'm just saying.
No, he's
when someone addressed that he quote should be in college.
There's a right thing for some people to do, and I think that he's made a very brave and I think correct choice for him. He didn't want to do any more school. He's ready to get to work, and he's capable.
It wasn't just like, I mean, there's plenty of kids that don't want to do any more school,
right?
But they want to sit in their basement and play Fortnite or whatever.
Sure.
Like he wanted to
get to work,
go to work, and start a business, and like get out of this house and be in his own house and buy his own grocery, you know, like that kind of thing. It wasn't like, I want to eat Cheetos and live off my parents,
right?
You know? So I want to make that distinction of he didn't want to be in school.
He's made I think he's fine. I want to close out this and talk to Urbana for a second. I don't mean to. She's probably really pissed right now.
Nah.
She's probably going to write a scathing email. I don't mean to offend. I'm trying to understand, and I didn't read it firsthand. Jared kind of read and paraphrased your email to me.
Fault.
No, it's not. I mean, but I'm trying to wrap my mind around it. I'd love to have more of a conversation with it. I know you won't come here and get on our podcast, but I would love for you to.
We would,
or your husband, either
Yep.
one of you. I'd love to, and we keep everything. I know you're worried about your identity being out there. We can keep you champagne and Urbana. I mean, we can
put
keep
a
it as
black oval over your face.
We don't need to do video for that one. It's fine.
Yep.
But I'd love to talk to you more about it. I think I don't think you're wrong. I think that there is an inequity in every relationship. I don't think it is strictly drawn between the genders or the sexes, whatever you want to call it. I think that we draw and I've said this countless times, and I know you listen regularly, that if we draw these broad generalizations based on some stereotypical, some identities with stereotypes, that's dangerous, right? I talked about, during that episode, I believe, I talked about The Second Shift and that professor that I had that made us read that book. It was a signed reading called The Second Shift.
Mm-hmm.
And the book was about how these working women were now coming home and having to take care of the babies and take on all these responsibilities while the husband still came home from work and sat on his ass and watched Archie Bunker and drank a beer. And that's not fair. That's not, because it's not an accurate representation. That's like saying something just so crassly racist, about black people or about Asian people. It's the same thing to say, like, well, all guys just come home and they're lazy fucks who just sit on the couch and they expect the wife to do everything for them. That's not true. And I think that's where I'm getting off the topic here and I'm rambling again. You're going to get mad even more about this, but I just think it's dangerous.
Yeah,
is my point.
Is.
It's dangerous to draw these generalizations. I'm not saying that your concerns or anybody's concerns about what stresses them out, whether they be mental or physical activities, aren't valid. They absolutely are. They're individual to you, and it's a matter of reconciling that within your own relationship. My wife and I by no means have a fair balance. So she does when it comes to when it comes to cleaning the house and still cooking and probably laundry, she does more. But I do a fair amount. I do a lot of laundry.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to the outside work and the work on the house and stuff like that, she does almost nothing. And I don't want her to do anything, though. I'm completely fine with that. I need to replace the air filter in the refrigerator, the water filter, and the furnace filter. Don't want her to do it.
Now,
I'll take care of it.
I think
it's
part
fine.
of that was, and I'm going to speak for her, Urbana's point was...
Furthermore, those three things were not on your list. Ordering filters for your air,
filters
for your air conditioner.
Which I think people do a little too often. Come on.
No, you need to change your filters.
How often?
On your furnace?
Yeah.
Depending on the filter you buy, but generally 30 days, every month.
Yeah, that's...
Well, unless you buy a fancy
write
filter.
in and tell us how often, if you're doing it every 30 days. But, okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
But I think, and I'm going to speak for her, her point was that it's too easy or too common for people to just go to the physical tasks of, well, I go to work, I mow the lawn, I clean the gutters, I do this and that. As long as you do the dishes and have supper ready, we're fine. And her point is that the mental stuff for both genders is, whether it's shared or diversified, whatever, is equally stressful. And if you ignore that for just the physical stuff, you're ignoring like a really big part of stressful life. So, I think that was your point, was like, hey, but don't forget all this stuff too.
Is it possible the point that she's making is that only the things that she listed are the mental things, that because if it's I got to cleaning the gutters out, there's no mental activity there? The stress of like, oh, I got to do that. That's going to take me 4 hours out of my Saturday when I still got to go. I got to take the car to get the oil changed in it too. Those are mental activities too. It's not just a physical thing.
It's not that it doesn't take a mental effort. It's just that the things that, let's say, only take a mental effort, like remembering a calendar event or scheduling something, can be stressful.
Mm-hmm. I tell you what, there's going to be a keyboard in Urbana just blowing up. There's going to be smoke coming from those keys.
Yeah, I can't wait.
So, well, I don't want to make her mad. I appreciate her listening, and I don't mean to be... I
appreciate the feedback.
Right, and I don't mean to be dismissive by any means. I know I've said a lot, and I probably said some things that were maybe misconstrued, or I maybe said them the wrong way. I don't mean to be dismissive of what's going on. Or I just want to understand more. I want to talk more about it. I think it's a great topic. It's why there was an article written about it. It's why we've talked about it twice now. It's why you had felt the need to write in and say, no, fuckers, you missed the point.
Right. Which we need more of that.
Right.
When we miss the point, fucking tell us.
And we'll have to talk to Beck about it again. Maybe this will be another, well, not recap. What do we call them?
What's the word?
I don't know. But we need to talk about it again. We just need to revisit it.
Yes.
And that's and that's fine. I think that I would like to get more perspectives on it.
Well, how can people give us their perspective?
Well, they can they can send us an email at loadthispodcast@gmail.com. Yeah. Are we done already?
I mean, we're pretty far in. We're over an hour.
How about that?
Yeah.
Or they could drop us a note on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter at loadthispodcast. Or they could send us a message on YouTube. Get a load of this podcast on YouTube, and hopefully you've subscribed and liked.
Yeah.
All of that good stuff. If you got ideas on stuff that you want us to talk about, excuse me, let us know. If it's another sweet 16, if you want to be on this show with us, we got an extra microphone. It's right down here.
That's right.
You can feel free to come by.
We got room now too.
Yeah, we got plenty of room for activities. It's exciting times here. And I mean, I hate to qualify everything that we say. I feel like there's strong opinions about this topic, and I feel like maybe that people will laugh at this because white males. Should I say white males? I don't know, but we're not allowed to be upset about anything.
Yeah, we've had that whole gravy train for such a long time.
Yeah, I mean, they're white privilege, male privilege.
Yeah,
I'm not saying it ain't real. It is. There are certain. However, today, it's not a good thing to be a white male. Because there's all these people saying, well, you motherfucker, you did this and you did that. It's like, I didn't do shit. My grandfather might have, my father might have, but I didn't do shit. I'm just trying to get by in this world that we live in today.
Right.
And the world's changed. So, but it's like, it's the reparations thing, whether it's slave reparations or reparations for the atrocities of the white male of the 18th or 19th century. It shouldn't be that way. But anyway, getting to my point about this topic, it's like, just because that's the way that things worked in the Archie Bunker era doesn't mean that that's the way that things work today.
Yeah.
And just because, I don't know, just stop labeling, stop stereotyping. Everything is individual. Everything.
The moral of the story is don't have kids. Just if you haven't already, don't. And if you already have, get rid of them somehow.
Yeah. I think the moral of the story is that if you're not ready to have kids, don't have kids.
No one's ready. Let me tell you right now. No one's ready to have kids.
No, I think you can be. It goes back to Idiocracy. Have you seen that movie yet?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Idiocracy. The premise of that is that I don't remember their names, but Muffy and Biff or whatever. They're waiting and until they get settled and they get their whole nest egg ready, and so they're going to hold off before they have any kids. And meanwhile, Cletus and Jolene are just fucking pumping out kids. And by the time Muffy and Biff actually have try to have their first kid, 3 generations of Cletus and Jolene's have already been produced, and they can, and then now
unfortunately that would be the side effect of
so
smart people
Buffy
not having
and,
kids.
Buffy and Biff and Muffy, whatever the fuck their names are. They all of a sudden they realize that they can have fucking children.
Yeah.
Now you still got this whole lineage of Cletus and Jolene out here pumping out kids. Now you got a bunch of dumb fucking kids, and you got a dumb population.
I'm willing to take that risk. If we can just get less people to have kids.
Yeah.
There will be less stress.
I guess maybe
less strife. You will be happier. You'll have a better marriage.
We just had election day. Do you think dumb people should vote?
Oh, wow.
Do you think you should have to pass a test to be able to vote?
Yes. You have to pass a test to drive. You have to pass a test to do some other things.
Right. To get your gun license, your
you should have to pass a test to have kids, probably get married, and definitely vote.
So before you
should have to qualify to procreate. Yes. Fucking is fine.
Right. Before you can take the goalie out of that, you gotta be able to prove that you're able to.
I think so.
Yeah.
there's too many fucking assholes having kids out there.
That's a fair point. I think it's a controversial point, maybe for another episode. But election day was what, yesterday, wasn't it? The 4th, something like that. Anyway, no big elections around here at least, but it was election day. A year from yesterday, shit's gonna hit the fan. Shit's going down. It's gonna get crazy.
It's gonna be a fun podcast.
But I think that's a good topic. I mean, I'm thinking about that a lot lately. Like, there was some article I saw about voter ID and stuff like that. That's another topic we can have. But it's like, I think we need to go farther than voter ID. You need to prove you're not a fucking dumbass before you can vote. I don't care where you stand on either side of the aisle. You just can't be a moron. You got to be able to pass like a general knowledge test.
I realize it's a slippery slope to start, determining who can determine our political future, but I feel like we need to have some kind of criteria.
Basic questions like how many senators are from each state? If you can't answer that, who's the vice president currently? Like those are the kinds of things you need to be able to answer those questions. That's not a bad idea, actually. On the ballot, those couple questions come in. If you get them wrong, your shit don't count.
Or like, have you attempted to have a job in the last 5 years?
Right.
Those kinds of things.
I just think it's simple stuff, like simple, basic knowledge. Who won the Revolutionary War?
Yeah, but then they're going to turn that around and be like, well, that's not fair to the certain groups who were not taught properly.
They should be a citizen. They've already either had to pass a citizen test or they've been through public education.
But maybe they were exposed to violence in 3rd grade that you weren't exposed to, and it's not fair.
Fine. They can bring in their fucking human support animal to the fucking ballot box with them to make them calm down so they can vote with a clear fucking head.
Service animal. Yeah, that's
Service
another
animals
episode.
Are bullshit too.
All right, let's wrap this up. We appreciate you listening and watching and subscribing.
Sorry, Urbana. We love you.
No, we really do. Yeah, we highly respect everything that you guys do.
I do. I really do. I know I didn't sound like that on this thing, but you fucking set me up, you prick.
I did. I wasn't even going to go down that road.
We talked about upstairs. I was like, we're not going to talk about that. No. I don't want to offend. I'm going to say something wrong. And then what do? You fucking bring it up.
I had 2 citywides. That's what it was.
Oh, man. Yeah. So anyway, sorry, Urbana.
All right.
Not so sorry to Champagne. No. He needs to come down and do a shot with us.
Yeah, come on. Fireball, box of Fireball, thanks to you.
Yeah.
Let's
do this. Shit's going to go bad.
And Illinois played their first basketball game tonight of the season, so hopefully they won. I have no idea.
Check that out.
I'm sure they did. All right.
You sure they did? Who were they playing?
It was like Norfolk or something.
Norfolk and Way.
If they didn't win, we got problems.
There's Norfolk and Way. They lost.
Norfolk and Way. All right. Thanks again. Until next time, I'm Jared.
I'm very sorry, Urbana.
And get a load of this.
Yeah, man. Fucking 270. Are we recording right now?
We are recording.
270.
As in the highway?
Yeah. As in my
that
fucking
you drive
weight.
On every day?
Yeah, okay. It's ridiculous. There was a picture when we were down tailgating with my sister. And of my wife and my sister and me standing. I had a big coat on. I had a stocking cap on or whatever. And they're both short. Beck's 5'1". My wife's 5'3".
Mm-hmm.
They're little. And at one point I had my arms around their head.
Right.
And I was like, just headlocking both of them. And someone took my mom, and they took the picture, and I'm like, I look fucking huge. Like fat.
Like tall. Oh, fat.
Like just just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is bad. That was like a wake up call for me. Like I gotta do something. I can't keep going on like this. Something's not right.
I know that I'm not fat in the stereotypical sense, right? But
no, you're not. You're definitely not. You're skinny, in my opinion.
Well,
but you're softer than you want to be.
I was definitely. I mean, I had a lot of extra weight in the places you don't want to have it, right? And so. And I just noticed it more and more and more all the time.
Right.
And clothes were fitting tighter and tighter, and I had to buy new clothes. And you get more and more out of breath going up the stairs, and just this and that, and it was just like something's got to change.
Yep. So what are you down to? How much more have you lost?
I'm down 28 pounds.
So where'd you start at? If you don't mind me asking.
205.
Wow.
I'm at one. Last night was at 177. My goal was 175. But my goal was to get to 175 and then start exercising.
Huh.
to get down even more. So
what
I'm almost
did you
there.
weigh in high school?
Like 150.
Okay.
I was legitimately skinny in high school.
Okay.
Thin and skinny.
Your son's taller than you, right?
Yeah, he's like 6 foot, about
What
an
are you,
inch
like
or two.
5'10"?
I'm like 5'10", 5'11", 5'10" and a half.
How much does he weigh? Do you know?
He's in that. Well,
He's probably 160,
I'm not sure.
170.
Yeah, around that. I was gonna say 155 or so, but he's put on a lot of muscle since high school was out.
Yeah,
he's going to the gym and doing all that stuff. He's doing a lot more active. He's doing hiking and biking and running, and
that's a lot more interesting
than weights
than
and all
going to the gym. The gym, I mean, and I actually,
rock climbing.
I'm kind of out of it now, but I enjoyed it. I plan to. I got a new regimen. I'm going to kick off here soon, and everything's changing. Everything's changed, man. That's what I said 2 months ago.
I'm going to angle a little bit, face you, since it's just
I got to move the microphone a little bit so that when I'm looking at you.
Yeah,
it's right. Anyway,
I can sit over there.
So, but the gym's boring. Like, I mean, I do like it. I enjoy it. I also like it that there's when there's nobody there. But hiking and biking is a lot more exciting. Getting outside and seeing the sights and like fall colors and shit like that. It's a lot more fun than just going to the gym and
but
walking
that kind
on a
of
treadmill.
stuff is easier to get away from. Like, oh, it rained today, I can't go, I guess.
Right,
or it's a little muddy, or it's a little cold.
The gym, you got no excuse.
The gym,
it's there.
You just gotta. Yep, but I agree with you. It's more fun to go on a hike than on a treadmill.
Treadmills suck. I don't like treadmills. The only thing I do at the gym that's like cardio stuff is the bike, and even that's boring. But at least it's not. I don't know. It's quicker for some reason, in my opinion.
What I didn't have back in the day when I was working out in gyms and stuff, so college years, we didn't have iPods or iPhones or Android phones. We couldn't have thousands of songs at our fingertips or podcasts or audiobooks.
Podcasts,
man, that changes everything.
It is a game changer. You can kill an hour and a half, and then before you know, you're like, "Holy shit! I've been here for a while."
Right.
And you'll catch yourself. I'll catch myself sitting on a machine. Like you've done your 3 sets sitting on a machine, and you just get kind of wrapped up in podcast. Usually, what I'm listening to.
Yeah.
And it's like I gotta get moving. And I got to keep moving. But, you also catch yourself laughing while you're in the middle of shit,
right.
It's like, okay, you got to keep moving.
We've all had that. You're listening or watching something at work or whatever, and you just burst out laughing and, with headphones on. Everybody's like, what the fuck's your problem?
Yeah, let's kick this off. I don't know
we need to kick it off. I know what I'm going to start with. I'm going to bitch you out a little bit.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Have we talked about this already?
A little, yeah.
Oh,
it's fine.
Fuck, man, I don't like this.
All right.
Can I fight back?
Sure. I'll allow it.
All right. I feel like I need my big sister here to defend me.
I almost started Here We Go.